We need to be looking at the solutions for tomorrow. So my policy, which will come out around transport, we haven't released it yet. So in terms of safety, it is a matter of council working closely with police and the community services. We need to continue to diversify the economy in Auckland and making sure that we have the right transport is a real issue for Aucklanders, and you can almost feel it getting worse every week with the number of people that are on our roads. There's a couple of things. We love to own cars. We have the highest car ownership in all of New Zealand, and we don't have a strong public transport network for people to use. So my policy, which will come out around transport, we haven't released it yet, will be to build what I call an integrated world-class transport network. Integrated, and that means that it works together. So for example, when you want to catch the bus or the train, that there's enough car parks for you to either drive to, or that there's enough feeder buses for you to get to the train stations and the bus stations. And at the moment there simply isn't enough. For example, we need to be also thinking about, and not just the solutions from yesterday, like bus and rail. We need to be looking at the solutions for tomorrow. And there's a lot of technology changes happening, like remote working. If we could get 50 to 100,000 people remote working a day, gosh, what a difference that would make to our roads. Driverless vehicles is another one. So Singapore, for example, have set a target of a third of their buses being driverless in the next year. Greece is having a look at driverless. US is having a look at driverless vehicles. So we need to be looking to the technologies of the future and what role they can play, as well as the technologies of the past. So there is already plenty of money from Auckland Council. So let me give you an idea. In the 10-year plan, there's $41 billion of operating expenditure. There's $18 billion of capital expenditure. There's another $3 billion of debt, and that's before we even look at partnerships with government, for example. So there is a lot of money in the system, and what we need to make sure is that we are spending that very wisely and that we are freeing up enough money for infrastructure investment. On top of that, of course, we can look at partnerships with government, and they've talked about supporting funding the likes of the CRL. And if we still need more money, then yes, we can look at things like tolls, for example. And that's because since the Super City was formed, rates have gone up 50%. And I think Aucklanders have had enough. And we need to take the burden off ratepayers, and we need the council to be a smart, strong, financially savvy organisation. And so yes, I'm absolutely saying I'm going to cap increases for rates because I think Aucklanders have paid enough. House prices is a major problem for Auckland, and it's a result of a couple of things. One is the lack of supply, so we have so many people wanting to live in Auckland and we don't have enough homes. And the second thing is the types of homes that we are building. And the most profitable home in Auckland is actually a 4-bedroom house. And when you put a 4-bedroom house with a $500,000 piece of land, the price point you get is $1 million. And that's not affordable for most people. So we will be releasing housing policy. We will have to, as a city, intensify, and we will also have to go out with 750,000 people growth in population in the next 30 years. We actually have to do both. And we have to work out how can we provide a much stronger range of options for housing into all of our communities, whether that's social housing, affordable housing, or the 4-bedroom home for those people who need it and want it. Well, first of all, I think rightly so that Chinese students are angry and upset at the robberies and attacks that happened a month or so back. I think, absolutely. In Auckland, we do pride ourselves on being a safe city, and we are one of the safest cities in the world, and it's very important that we protect that reputation and we manage that reputation, and that any person in Auckland feels safe as they go about their community, doing their work or living their lives. There isn't any data yet to suggest that it's an increase in attacks on the Asian population in Auckland, which is good, and we have to make sure that that doesn't happen. So in terms of safety, it is a matter of council working closely with police and the community services and making sure that we have the right infrastructure around the city for safety, that we have enough lighting. So in Albert Park, that we do have good lighting. For example, we do have cameras around. The CCTV, which is the camera monitoring of the city, is improving, but we can go further with that. And we can do that when we work in partnership with police and communities groups. And the other area I'm very passionate about safety in Auckland is in the public transport network. So with more of us catching public transport, it is important that we feel safe, and it is important that, you know, after we've done a long day's work, we might have grabbed a bite to eat and we're walking home at 9 o'clock at night, that we feel safe in our city. I mean, the two biggest problems for our city in terms of police activity is youth and alcohol. They are the two biggest problems. They've always been there, and they remain to be there, and that's the areas that we really need to be focused on. I don't see any numbers that show youth offending increasing significantly. I think it's part of any city population in terms of safety, and what we need to do is to continue to educate our youth, you know, continue to provide other things for them to do, other activities, rather than being bored, for example, and committing crimes. And we have to continue to manage also alcohol in youth very closely, because alcohol severely impacts youth behaviours. So first of all, I find that really sad, and you're right, because there are some prejudices, and it's not just towards Asians, but different cultures who have chosen Auckland as their home and their place to live and work, and that's really sad. And what I also find sad is that the leaders of New Zealand are sometimes contributing to that perception in terms of making gross stereotypes around Asians buying homes or around chefs in terms of being Asian and Indians. And I think that does not help us build bridges between the different cultures. The reality is that more and more people in the world are living in cities, and more people are choosing Auckland as their city. And I would like to say to those people, thank you for choosing us. You could go anywhere. There are 400 other cities like Auckland around the world, and you could pick any one of those. So thank you for picking us. And the type of leader that I am is, how do I work with communities to make sure all communities feel included in Auckland? Whether you're from China or from Korea or Philippines, or whether you're Indian or South African, you know, we are an incredibly diverse city. That is one of our strengths, and we need leaders that bring those differences together and value those differences. So absolutely yes, a business person's approach to Auckland City is quite different than a politician's approach. And there's a couple of reasons why. One is I've been accountable for 20 years for big budgets. You know, I run billion-dollar revenue streams since I was 27 years old. I've run big transformation programs. I've run big culture change programs in terms of building more empowering and productive cultures in terms of to work in. And I think that is a different lens than a politician who doesn't necessarily have that level of accountability day in, day out in their role. I'm standing to be your next Mayor of Auckland because I'm actually really frustrated with the lost opportunities of this city. So when I look at the 30-year plan for Auckland, I don't see a plan for 30 years. I see a plan for the next 5 to 6 years. If we think about what life looked like 30 years ago, I mean, we didn't have mobile phones, you know, we didn't have so much of the life that we have today. Life will be quite different. And as a city, we must keep up with those changes that are happening. And actually, in instances, we need to stay ahead to remain competitive on the world stage. So I was frustrated that we're not looking forwards as a city. Secondly, I'm frustrated with the super city structure, in that our rates are going up services are going down, and we're not getting the outcomes that we need in critical services for Aucklanders like transport and housing. So I believe my business skills, which is high levels of accountability, fiscally savvy, having a very strong strategy, executing and being accountable to deliver those results, and being a very collaborative leader will serve Auckland very well. Well, I think Auckland is a beautiful city, and what we're seeing is that so many people are wanting to come and live here. So I aspire for actually a world-class Auckland. I aspire for something better than a livable Auckland. I think we can be one of the great cities around the world, and we can have not just an amazing lifestyle, but a very vibrant economy, and also an incredibly rich social fabric where we all come and play and have fun.